cause we can't stop. Hear the sound of my money machine. See my brand new Benz, watch the chrome rims gleam. The agent investors will find a home of your dreams. Investing in real estate will have you rolling in green. With the power and the knowledge at our fingertips, we are here to share and help get you rich. Eating fancy dinner, driving expensive whips, working out your brain like chest pressing dips. Stop leaning on the books and the courses you book. The conversations we have cannot be taught. Tune into the podcast with Louis and Lamore. Our knowledge combined won't sell you short. And I'm out.
Hey everybody, it's the Agent Investor with Louis Lamort, Louis Fernandez, Michael Lamort, here with another podcast for you. This is actually episode 5 already. Happy anniversary.
Is it 5?
It's 5.
Congratulations.
And nobody's seen one yet, but this is 5.
It's all good. It's all good.
We have a huge audience.
They'll see it all at once.
Yeah, you want to hear our audience? It's our audience.
Nice. 2 people just liked it.
2 people just like it so far.
Grasshoppers.
Yeah, man. So here we are. It's just about a new year. We're in a new year, right?
Sure.
New things, new horizons.
It's always a new year.
It's actually like every day we wake up, it's like 51st dates.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like a new year.
Yeah.
But all in all, how would you rate your 2020?
It was great.
What was it good on both personal levels and
Yeah,
different levels?
everything's good. You know, it's all a state of mind, right? So you make whatever you want out of it, right?
But it was a
So,
very challenging year for a lot of people. I mean, the whole
challenges make you stronger and make you rethink things and have new strategies and look for new ventures, and I think that's what we did, right?
Well, like I say, a lot of people, like such as myself, and I'm sure I'm not by myself in this situation, but you go into a brand new year, you set personal goals for yourself, you set some personal goals, business goals, and the whole world is stricken by this COVID coronavirus. And I'm sure for a lot of people, they just went sideways, and a lot of people actually have had the best years of their lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is quite amazing. I mean, obviously being in a real estate business, you keep an eye on your colleagues. If you're on top of the market, you're seeing who's putting what on the market, how many listings are coming on, how many things are selling in certain communities. But I tell you, you've seen a lot of people out there. Well, not a lot, but there's a good handful of people I'm noticing that are having their best years of their life. I'm not having the year that I wanted to have, but I don't blame the coronavirus. I have to blame myself. But we going into a new year, and before you know it, we're gonna be living with this COVID thing for almost a year.
Well, I think it's the norm now, right? Like you get used to certain things. In the beginning, it was kind of scary, but I don't look at things like you had a good year, you have a good day, right? Every day.
Hey, shorten it up.
Every day is a different day, and you change the way you think, and you can't lump everything into a year. Daily activities and hourly activities, and you change little by little, and then you start getting the results that you need to, right?
Yeah, I mean, based on what we said in the past, is basically focusing on your activities. But I honestly can't even imagine walking around without a mask on.
Me either.
As ridiculous as that sounds, because
I'm actually liking it now. Right?
You're actually liking the mask. Yeah, I have a matching mask now.
Yeah, I don't like my voice, so. The mask makes me seem a little more masculine, I think.
Yeah, you have a mask that matches your panties?
Yeah. I don't know about that one.
I think it's just jumping in, Mike. Now, but all kidding aside, it's kind of weird. I mean, like in the beginning, is my mic still on? In the beginning, it was weird wearing a mask. Going into a restaurant, going into a convenience deli, a mobile mart, whatever it is. And I'm sure we all do this too. We go open the door and then you have a mask on. You have to go back to the car. The whole nine, but it's now I'm getting to the point where I'm so used to having a mask that it's going to be really weird not wearing one. And unfortunately it's just the way it is right now. But hopefully sometime in 2021 this thing will actually finally just go away, and we can actually go back to whatever normal is, whatever the new normal is.
Well, I mean, I don't think we'll go back to the new normal, but I mean, I think that I have a restaurant, and we doubled our sales during Corona, and
there you go.
So
it's not just real estate.
There's nothing stopping. It's just when you become a victim of what's happening, you truly can become a victim, or you could pivot and move the right direction, and perhaps focus. Like what we did in the investment side, right? Like I was kind of dependent on agents on the auction, and COVID hit. We kind of have to fish for ourselves now, right?
Yeah.
And try to fish a little more, and get back to basics.
Yeah, well, the fact that you're actually someone who is, I would say, a true entrepreneur. You have multiple businesses, and funny enough, I mean, being in the world of real estate and in the world of restaurant, I mean, those are two major, businesses going through this pandemic. And like you said, like you're having a great, your business has been doing great on the at Juicy Chicken in their show, which is great. Very, very happy to hear that, of course. But you have some other restaurateurs that are going out of business.
Well, I think it all starts with your state of mind, right? So if you have a strong head and you believe in what you're doing and you do daily activities or hourly activities, and you perhaps are more aware of what you're doing in order to get out of the situation and not focus so much on the situation, then you can do things that while everybody else froze, you continue to get a little market share, like very similar to the 2007 crisis, right? We were in the business and
a little different, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a crisis, right? So a crisis is a crisis. People there's fear, and our strategy back then was just to get market share, right?
Yeah, but you have the guy so everybody's situation can be different, right? Just because you own a restaurant and the guy down the street owns a restaurant, or actually be even harder, the guy in New York City that has even tighter regulations.
Absolutely.
Like, what can the guy like that do to pivot? He's kind of like, he's in a really bad spot, which is very ashamed. Like, what can he do? I mean,
you just focus on delivery.
Yeah, well, he's got to do something, obviously. But I mean, there are a lot of people that have closed their doors for good, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
the sad thing, I mean, there's things that you can't control, and there's things that you can control, right? You can't control the outside, things that happen, but you can control your mindset, and your mindset, I think, we agree, is what takes people to the next level.
Yeah, which that over the last 4 or 5 months, we've been working together closer, right? Doing some real estate things together, and training a group of young people coming up into business.
Yes.
And it's been quite an experience. And funny enough, as I was preparing for this podcast, what I have down first is mindset, because when you look at this pandemic, or anything that happens in life, right? Because anything happens in life, whether it's really positive or really negative, like you said yesterday, right? Like I happen to be an emotional person, and sometimes I don't really, think before I speak, because I'm going right with my emotions.
Right.
And it's a difficult thing for me to do, but it's a possible thing for me to do. But the mindset of everything is really what controls everything.
Right.
So like when I was driving over here to do this podcast with you, I was just saying, oh, I'm tired.
We have another fan.
Oh, yeah. That's our third fan is now walking in. There's probably a UPS guy.
He needs to sell a house, though.
Yeah, he needs to sell a house. But I was driving over here, and I'm like, oh man, I'm freaking tired. But like, if you keep telling yourself you're tired, you're gonna be tired, right?
Right.
And now I'm not tired because we're talking about not being tired. But yeah, seriously, it's mindset, right? And now, question sometimes that can arise is, why is it that some people seem to shine, just about in any situation they choose to, as they choose to apply themselves, and other people, don't. I mean, they have the obvious talents, right? So there's one person, let's just say me. I can pretty much be in multiple facet situation and get myself through it, or shine on certain things. And then there's another person who clearly has obvious talent that can't get through that situation. And that may revert back to mindset, but also we talk about a lot of limited beliefs.
Yeah.
All right?
And vision, right?
And vision. So it's been said that research shows that it's the way the way you think. Everything starts with the way you think. So if you're going to approach any situation going into, listen, nobody expected this December of last year that we're going to go into 2020 with this huge pandemic that's going to alter basically everybody's lives, and actually took some people's lives. People always say expect the unexpected. And that's a great rule to live by.
Well, the issue there is that people get comfortable with being comfortable, right? And business, especially when you're an entrepreneur, you got to be comfortable with uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And you got to be ready and have a bigger vision than everybody else, so that when something does happen, you're a step ahead, right? So you're already trying to come up with a new idea of how to change or pivot your business without even having a pandemic or having the economy collapse or whatever, right?
Right. But that's an example of somebody that, there are people that are born with, you can call it, or you're born with an ability to be in that situation. Like, I'm a big picture thinker, and so are you. So he may not be the best example because we're both kind of similar in that way. But we're natural problem solvers. We see things on a very big scale, right? And so you're always a step ahead because when something does happen. I mean, you can't predict something like a COVID, but I'm saying something like functional within the business area, whether it's a restaurant, real estate, or whatever business it is. You have that mindset to where, okay, well, if this gets thrown at me, I'm going to handle it like that. And I'm usually like 3 steps ahead with that kind of thing, which is where we're born. I think we're born with that. So some people are born with something, right? Which I think is called a fixed mindset. Like you have that ability, a natural born ability. And then there's growth mindset, which is gained by hard work and efforts, right? It's 2 different types of mindsets. Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's you know, the way you think is the way people define you, right? And
Or act.
right?
Right.
So at the end of the day, it's, you know, we don't need a changing economical or pandemic thing to happen for us to change or want to change, right? Like, you know, we already knew that, you know, there was a 2007, you know, meltdown, 10-year cycles. We were over, you know, 12 years.
Right.
We knew something was going to happen. Everybody thought there was going to be perhaps a real estate meltdown, but it was a different type of meltdown, right? So just being on your toes and understanding that what you have today, you won't have tomorrow, allows you to continuously think every single day. And, you know, I speak for most entrepreneurs, we barely sleep at night, right? Because you're thinking about what are you going to do next, or the ideas you're going to take. You know, I know that I wake up in the middle of the night, I start writing notes in my hand. I don't even understand it because I don't want to wake up my significant other, my wife, and the next morning I don't even know what I wrote in my arm.
You got to get the Jerry Seinfeld upside down pens.
Yeah.
Write your notes down.
Right. So,
But the thing was with the 2007 crash in the market. I mean, you know, that was somewhat predictable because again, there's a life cycle of real estate. You know, it goes up, it goes down. You have equilibrium, then it goes up again.
well, Wall Street didn't see it, so.
Well, so I mean, I actually know like 1 or 2 people that are, you know, and actually want to benefit from the situation. But then you have this right now. Like you asked me last year this time, you know, what's going to happen with the market? Even if you asked me just a few months back, you know, we're already upwards of 10, 12 years, and we're at a height. So at some point, it's going to turn.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? I don't know how much, you know, the election or new president is going to change the mindset of people wanting to sell or not, but
Well, you can't focus on what they're going to do. You got to focus on what you're going to do, right? We're in control of our lives, and if you know, you used to take.
But that's an example of pivoting, though, right?
Yeah, of course.
Because if you have one leader that's in office, and people are going to project things this way, you have a different leader in office with different ideas, you project that way, but then you have to take your situation, pivot, and say, okay, well, if that's what their guidelines are going to be, I got to do something else.
Well, that's the beauty about being in commission. You got to be on your toes all the time. Right?
Yeah, like what does one do? Like you hear, listen, I listen to politics a lot. I'm not going to get into a big political conversation, obviously, but, you know, I'm hearing people on the radio, callers calling in on certain radio shows saying, you know, oh, I'm not going to give 60% of my money to this or that, or to socialism, or whatever it is you want to call it. But, you know, that's definitely going to be a fear on somebody. I mean,
yeah, it doesn't have to be your fear. And, you know, I'll tell you, I tend to listen to more intelligent people than me, not people that are less intelligent than me, right? So,
yeah, that's a good point.
So, like, I don't get easily influenced by what people say, you know. The news is the news, and the news is here to sell, right?
Yeah, I guess
ratings,
so.
you know, but, you know, we're not like the rest of the people. We're, I was telling somebody, I've been in commission since I was 23, and I've never traded for the world, and, you know, there's lots of days that you don't sleep, but it is what it is, right? Comes with the territory.
I guess it's nature of the beast when you want more out of life, right? I mean, like
Absolutely.
if you want the security lifestyle of, you know, punching in at 8 and punching out at 4, you know, then you're not gonna have those types of worries, right? But
Absolutely.
if you wanna, you know, kind of grab life by the horns and try to better yourself, there's certain other, you know, I guess implications that come with that. You know, it just is what it is. But so I came across this awesome story, right? That, funny enough,
It's fake news, is it really?
it's not fake news. Well, it's an article. It's an article that I came across, and it has a lot to do with mindset. And the last thing I want to do is, you know, start reading on camera because I'm not a very good reader because I don't like to read, to be honest. But it's funny enough, the character or the person here, his name is Lewis, and I thought that was pretty cool.
I didn't write it.
I know you didn't. I swear to God, you didn't write it. But it really has to do with mindset, and I think it's a really awesome message. So I'm going to plow through it really quickly. But ironically enough, the guy's name was Uncle Lewis, right? So, story goes, a friend of mine told me a story about his Uncle Lewis. Uncle Lewis was a real estate agent in the 1990s in New Jersey. a Belgian immigrant. Now you're an immigrant from Yonkers, right?
From Peru.
Oh, from Peru. Just kidding, of course. So some limited similarities that you're an immigrant, and Uncle Louis here was an immigrant, right? So he was a real estate agent in the 90s in New Jersey, a Belgian immigrant who had been trained in school as a butcher in his home country. He never went to college, but growing up in Belgium in the 1950s, he learned more about life than any school could ever have taught him. It's kind of similar to conversations we have on a daily basis, right?
Yep.
He also learned quite quickly that he didn't want to be a butcher his entire life. And so, with his sister's help, he immigrated to the United States. The reason I bring up Uncle Louis, not Louis Fernandez, but Uncle Louis in this story, besides the obvious connection to real estate sales, is this. He wasn't just any real estate agent. He was the most popular, most successful real estate agent in the entire area. Uncle Louis listed and sold more homes than anyone at his agency by far, even though his English was broken, which is pretty impressive because people judge as a natural thing. And he was 46 years old when he started, and his education level was practically non-existent. Anyone outside looking in would think there was no possible way for Uncle Louis to be so wildly successful, especially in a highly competitive market like New Jersey in the 1990s. He was up against agents that had double the experience and could talk circles around him, and yet he didn't just do well, he exceeded every expectation. Which is really, really an amazing thing because, when we go back to talking about mindset, this guy, Uncle Louis, obviously had a mindset of, I don't care what obstacles that are in front of me. He obviously had some kind of self-influence, or maybe he was born with it, and pivoted in every situation. Because I can only imagine, if I had a severely broken accent, not have a bad accent because I talk very fast, but if I had a severely broken accent, whether if I was from straight off the boat in Italy or Peru, whatever it is, I can see how that can weigh on somebody and thinking they're not being as transparent as somebody that speaks fluent English.
Right.
So quite impressive that there are many Uncle Louises out there.
Absolutely.
Right, but there are many people on the opposite side of the spectrum.
Well, most people don't make it, right? Most immigrants don't make it for the simple fact of their mindset, right? They have limited beliefs.
Well, not just immigrants, but people in general.
Yeah, general,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
But I'm saying immigrants in general because of what you just mentioned, broken English, but it's really mindset. I mean, if you have the right mindset, you could go to China and not speak Chinese and make it, right? It's just what you believe in.
Well, you've been to China, right?
Yeah, I lived in actually the Republic of China, which is Taiwan. I lived there for 6 months.
So you're there for 6 months.
Yeah.
Didn't speak a lick of the language.
No.
How'd you get by? What'd you do?
They speak some English, right?
Yeah.
And I learned the really interesting words that survive, which, one was beer, but the other one was,
Yep.
but it's just mindset. It's most of us care what other people think, and I never did. Yeah, and I mean, of course, it's gonna affect you, but if you care more about what other people think of you than what you think of yourself, then you know what's gonna happen, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of funny too. Like when you go into a different area, or even if you're just even in New York, which is a mix of all different, personalities and languages. But you ever notice that people that speak English and they're talking to somebody that doesn't speak English, and then the person who speaks English speaks louder, thinking that the person's gonna understand, which is the most ridiculous type of reaction I've ever seen.
Well, the funny thing is that in the U.S., most people think they speak English, and they actually don't speak English.
Well,
their English is not good.
My English is not good.
Right, and then you have people coming from over all these other different countries, and they might have an accent, but they actually speak better.
Yeah, that does actually happen. But so now that we're pretty much past 2020, when we're in a new year, what kind of expectations or what kind of vision do you have for this year? Because obviously, I think everybody towards the end of a year should start thinking about the next year at some point, especially when you're in the world of real estate. And one of the issues that you've had this year as somebody who flips properties is that one major token of your source it was non-existent, which was the banks and the auctions. So going into a new year, would obviously looking to do better than the previous year, right?
Absolutely.
What are you going to do differently this year?
Well, we already did what we had to do in order to change 2021, right? So, we spent 3-4 months of building systems, models, people, scripts to target what we need to target, so we could actually do what we have to do in 2021, right? you know, like I always tell people, there's a process. You can't circumvent the process.
Yeah.
And preparation is part of it. The process is part of it. And then you see the results at the end, right?
Well, plus one of the things you've added to me was like I gotta slow down.
Right. You got to
Right.
slow down
So,
to ramp up, right?
as somebody that's always looking to grow, you know, one of the things that you taught me actually this year, and maybe the last 2 years, was that you got to learn to slow down in order to get yourself forward, so that you can focus on the things that are important,
Right.
like the systems and the models. So what
Yeah.
we've been doing for the last 4 or 5 months is, you know, a lot of like, you know, role play, scripting, mindset exercises, right? Book
Pe-
reading,
People
discussing our challenges on a daily, weekly basis, which
becoming
is
better, right?
becoming better. I mean, listen, I've definitely seen a lot of growth in the people we've been working with. I think that's a great thing. I've
Yeah.
seen, you know, I felt a little growth in myself as well, and you know, every day is a new experience, and which is, you know, attributed from the synergy that we get from all working together, which is pretty awesome. And you know, I know one thing I like to see, you know, this year is just taking this to another level and continuing to help more people and help ourselves become better people, and like we talked about yesterday, just being a better version of ourselves.
Yeah.
Which, you know, it's a challenge. I mean, there's going to be days where we fall down, and days we have to get back up.
That's probably the hardest thing. You know, we can criticize others. We can see the,
Usually.
you know, the issues with others. We can't look at the mirror and really see the real us, right? And you know, as leaders, we got to
True.
continue to develop and see and have a crystal clear mirror to see what we're not doing right and what we're doing right, and not really focus on what we're doing right. Focus on what we're doing wrong, and become a better true version of us, and
Yeah.
impact people at a high level, right? 'Cause that's the name of the game.
That is the name of the game. I feel that too. But where do you see real estate going over the next couple of years? I mean, there's been a lot of changes over the last 5 years.
Listen, I you know, when I was in real estate and I was doing it at a high level, I didn't care what the market was doing. I just cared what my numbers were, right? So like I never cared whether the economy's up or down. Listen, I have no control of that. What I have control over is of the activities that we do
Yeah.
in order to generate the leads that we need to do, in order for the appointments and the closings we need, right? From both the real estate side and the investment side. You know, it's funny that Mike, that you know the investment side it's a very interesting side, and nobody really has the discipline. I mean, people have the money, but they don't have the discipline to do what we're really doing, and that's why I know no matter what, we'll prevail, right?
Yeah, I certainly believe that. I mean, you know, I could say that even since we've all been working together for the last 4 or 5 months, doing the exercises, like I've definitely have a level of growth and understanding of people mindset, leadership, and how important the activities are, because, you know, we're so inclined to go out and buy a program, buy more leads on Zillow, go buy, you know, postcards and blanket an area. But one thing I've noticed after being, you know, in this business for 10 years now is the one thing that works is the old school X's and O's. Just picking up the phone. The cheapest thing you can do is pick up the phone and just talk to people on
The phone is like a cash register, right?
It's a
The
cash
more you
register.
use it,
It's amazing.
right? So, and you know my belief is red light, green light. We lead with revenue, not with expenses, and I stick to it every single day, and I analyze everything we do, and we could get free lists versus paid lists, and the free lists work.
Yeah.
You know, that's the way I'm going. Right?
I mean, I've definitely been a victim of myself of like just spending too much money, and you know,
I think everybody has, because it's like
Yeah.
the magic pill, you know, the solution to everybody's problem. But when you know exactly what you have to do, then you realize that that's not the right way.
No, it's not the right way. Like you said, like, you know, you lead by your activities, right?
Yeah.
You lead by activities, and then once you basically, in other words, like you don't need money to make money, you need money to make more money,
Right.
which is always something that's in the back of my mind. But you know, sometimes when things get a little quiet,
It's easy, you know.
you're inclined to put your hands in your pockets.
The society is easy, you know. It's easy to go out and and buy order food, you know, to take out instead of
One of my favorite things to do.
instead of making it at home, right?
That's right.
Right. That's why the restaurant business do so well, right? Like people are like, oh, I'm tired. I'm not gonna cook today. So and all of a sudden I don't cook for like 5 days in a row, right? I mean, I don't care because I benefit from that too. But at the end of the day, you know, you got to understand what the foundation of building a business is, right? And most people spend more money than they make, and that's a huge issue.
Or even worse, you spend more money on something and you don't even
It
use
doesn't
it.
work.
Oh, you don't even use it the way you're supposed to use it, right? Like if you're spending money on leads and you're not following up on your leads, why are you spending money on the leads? Like there's things that happen all the time.
One of the best businesses in the world is a recurring business, right? Recurring payments, and you know, half the people till COVID didn't even watch Netflix, but they were paying $9.99, right?
I was actually I've been
It's
a
like,
huge,
you know,
huge fan of Netflix over the last year, I'd say.
I'm sure you're there.
Because I'm so yeah, I mean I'm a huge listen. You give me a couch and a TV, seriously, I'm in paradise. I love, well, obviously, you know I love food, but you give me a couch, you give me TV. Literally, I can stay in the house for weeks. And it sounds very sad and it sounds very lonely. But that's what I like. I love TV. There's been some really great shows that have come out. I forget the name of that one. It's
Kojak?
who?
Kojak?
I think it's like in the 80s or something, right? No, what's that show with Kiefer Sutherland? He plays the president.
Designated Survivor.
Designated Survivor, right? That's been one of my favorite shows this year. It's been amazing.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I don't watch TV. I read.
Yeah.
I read
don't.
books, Audible.
That's where we're completely opposite. I don't have
Listen,
patience.
I feed my mind every single day, every minute of the day. I don't watch the news. I do watch soccer. That's my downfall. But everything else is like, I can't have anybody else control my mind more than I can control my mind myself. Right?
Well, that's pretty deep, but I definitely need that, that time to watch TV and have fun with it. But
It's all good. It's all good.
the funny thing is, so before we started this, our 5th podcast here, I pulled up some funny memes that describe 2020, which I find humorous kind of stuff.
Yes, you do.
I know I do, but like, so if 2020 was a bag of chips, orange juice and toothpaste would be a bag of chips. I love it. All these things that happened this year, which honestly, everything that, it's just a really weird year with the whole COVID thing and the election and this and that and the other thing, but there's been a lot of funny memes that came out this year. I felt that brought to my attention. So if the world, let's see. Oh, so you're not gonna know about this one. This is the old Area 51. You know about the Area 51 stuff, like the UFOs.
Yeah, my son watches it.
Yeah, so like the world was fine until we decided to raid Area 51. Just saying. And then one of my favorites here. I know everything happens for a reason, but what the F? So my favorites. So that's the kind of year it's been, man. 2020 has been the very year in which many people had to pivot. And I think going into 2021 is gonna be a lot more pivots. But there you have it, man. It's just another year of going into.
Listen, we live day by day. We don't live year by year, right? So that idea of it's a bad year, it's foreign to me, right? You live day by day.
That's a good mindset. Right?
You can change your day in half a day, right? And you don't need next year to change your year, right? So that's just an excuse of procrastination to say, let me write off the next 2 months and have a great year next year.
Well, with that being said, I think that's great advice for everybody out there, and I do believe in that because, like I said, once you tell yourself something and you believe it, your whole mind changes. So let's make 2021 an awesome year.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you so much, and thanks for checking us out.
Yeah, we won't stop, cause we can't stop. Hear the sound of my money machine. See my brand new Benz, watch the chrome rims gleam. The agent investors will find a home of your dreams. Investing in real estate, we'll have you rolling in green. With the power and the knowledge at our fingertips, we are here to share and help get you rich. Eating fancy dinners, driving expensive whips, working out your brain like chest pressing dips. Stop leaning on the books and the courses you book. The conversations we have cannot be taught. Tune into the podcast with Lewis and Lamore. Our knowledge combined won't sell you short. And I'm out.